Friday, August 19th at the Roxy, 10th and MacArthur, Motley Crue. And what made this a special Motley Crue show is there were only 1,500 seats or 1,500 tickets available, but this is John Corabi era of Motley Crue without Vince Neil. And you guys had done this show the day before at, was it Mohawk or was it the Brady?
No, it was Mohawk Park.
Mohawk Park in Tulsa.
Yes.
And the turnout was abysmal.
It was very dismal. I mean, I could take you back, like Jeff will say. They rolled in and, I never wanted to say this, but you truly seen with this ordeal how a band figured out that they were not into the arenas, and
you saw the true decline happening in real time of this band going from arenas back down to club
just
shows,
going back to how I started,
and not even being able to sell out club shows,
and just so they come in.
Hold on, up to this point, this would have been by far the smallest venue that you had seen Motley Crue yet.
Well, I think they had. I think moving on, they were going to scale down to that. But they went from 7 trucks in Tulsa to us unloading every truck in the parking lot at the Roxy.
Okay, let's start with load in. The band arrives, production arrives. They've got 7 trucks and however many buses and massive crew.
It seemed like it was like 6 or 8 buses.
Yeah. And what each one of them had a bus that it's called downsizing, and I mean, there goes your tour budget, or you're trying to cut the fat as much as you can. And so the reason why 7 semis were unloaded is because they were going from this size to this size, which was club level.
Yeah, arenas to clubs.
So this tour was probably booked at bigger venues and was literally having to change venues into smaller rooms in the middle of the tour.
But yes and no. We were given this show due to the fact of what it was, and it was through 462 and DCF concerts. So David had paired up on both of them, I think. And I mean, Little Wing might have been involved in the third.
I think Little Wing and 462 were in
and so
Tulsa.
The thing, as what I could remember is them scaling down and just everything being dismal. I mean,
that's kind of a black cloud to start your day when the very first thing, this band is scaling down their production. They're scaling down the number of trucks, the number of buses, and number of crew members.
Yes,
as well.
We were all looking forward to working the show. We were going to get to actually do a Motley Crue show. I mean, the build up for us was big, but then we had no idea that we were on the pivot point of
and
tour.
I mean, you're looking at it and you look at it now, and you see first off, the Motley Crue record with John Corabi is a great record. It's just the conversation has come up with what would have happened if they wouldn't have called themselves Motley Crue, and you look at that. Okay, here's an explanation of that. What about Brides of Destruction? All great members, all this didn't go anywhere.
Right.
But you got to remember, what is this, 94? 94, this ain't happening.
No.
At whatever level you want to be on. It's just not happening. And so,
the fans weren't supporting it.
You unload the trucks, you do this, you watch them downsize, you watch, I think, does it have how many people were there?
No.
It doesn't say, but I remember you telling me that it was less than 1,000.
Yes, it was less than 1,000. And we
thought it would sell out in advance.
Me too.
It just didn't do the numbers or the things that people wanted it to do. It was the beginning of the end. And
how were the attitudes the day of that show?
I remember I don't even, see them. They wasn't talkative. I don't even remember seeing them in the venue.
We were very busy because we had to take everything out of 7 semis and put it all out in the parking lot, and they had to figure out what they wanted to take. And
then they were like, okay, we're taking this bass rig in, and it'll go on tour. It was like,
and this stuff goes back to the shop. This stays, this goes. This stays, this goes, because they were sending trucks back one way. They
Back
were
to
done.
California.
Exactly.
And it's like, hey, they're downsizing, and it's we've done a few of those before, but this one was it was like you're as I look back on it now, it didn't really, I'm like, wow, man, that sucks. But as you look back on it now, it's like there was a huge turning point there because, shortly after that, the tour was over. They were over. They went home and sat, and, you're looking at it, and it's like until, it was evident that they wasn't going to be accepted without Vince Neil.
And Vince Neil was on tour at the same time.
And Vince Neil, once he left the band, he quickly recorded an album called Exposed. And then he got great band members with Vicky Fox and Steve Stevens. And Robbie Crane, I think, was on there, which was a great touring band. But, and the songs that Vince wrote, if you go back and listen to them, maybe some of them could be a Motley Crue song, But with Motley Crue, Nicky, Mick, John Corabi, and Tommy Lee, that was the beginning of the end. And, Nicky had problems where he didn't, he was trying to get out of his deal. And he did get out of his deal. And it was a blessing how he got out of his deal, because no bands hardly ever get their masters.
Ever.
And he was able to retain them, open up a record company called Motley Records, and re-release some stuff. But before that, I think they owed Elektra one record. And so they did Generations.
Swine.
It stayed out for a while, but then they still owed him that one record to get out. And I think that's how Vince came back into the fold, because they knew they couldn't do it with John Corabi. Finding somebody else didn't exist.
Vince was the only option.
And,
it
was like, hey, you're talking about people that have grown up together, family, friends. Why not patch it up, And then here comes Generation Swine. And then, you look at it and you fast forward to 2022, you got a band that said they were retired, but what got them to come stand up is, they laid some good cash down on there. And you think about this, in 94, they couldn't get arrested pretty much, and
they couldn't draw 1,000 people, and now they're back doing arenas.
They couldn't draw 1,000 people. Now they're selling out stadiums.
And then the one crazy thing I want to talk about, the picture you sent me as you were working that venue in Houston for that stadium tour, were the beer prices.
Oh, dude.
18 and a quarter for a can of Michelob Ultra. If you wanted a Jack and Coke or a Crown and Coke, it was like 20-something bucks.
Yeah, it was 1998 or 1950. If you wanted a double,
$33.
Yes. But you didn't get the good one. You didn't get the Sonny Water for less than $9.50. I hope everybody that went to the stadium tour had a great time. I really do. You held on to your tickets for a long time, But you look back at that, and you're looking at a band that in 94,
How much was the ticket cost on that?
20?
Doesn't say. I got 2 tickets on here, but they're both comps.
It's probably cheaper than a double at that stadium show.
Yeah, I want to say it's probably what one Crown and Coke drink would be today.
Absolutely.
And that was with no service charge either.
Blows my mind.